What's up guys, welcome back to the Educated Barfly. Today we're going to be making some Italian cocktails. This summer I was able to spend a few weeks bashing around Italy with my family, and aperitivo cocktails, surprise surprise, are literally everywhere. At every restaurant and on every menu, they list dozens of variations on spritzes and all sorts of aperitivo drinks. Although some of this is due to tourists who expect to see spritzes and other aperitivo cocktails on menus across Italy because they are essential Italian drinks, it's also easy to see how and why these cocktails evolved in that part of the world to begin with, especially the spritzes. Italy has a Mediterranean climate, as I'm sure you know, and the sea around it provides a reservoir of heat and humidity, and so while the winters are a bit rainy, they're still pretty mild compared to, say, like, I don't know, like Boston's winter or something. You have pretty damned hot and humid summers. When you're dealing with that much heat, there's really nothing better than a light, effervescent cocktail. It's almost unthinkable to drink an old-fashioned or a Manhattan until the sun is completely down, and even then it's still in the 80s, you got 80% humidity. All you want to do is sit in a piazza and drink something light and refreshing. Add to that the benefit of stimulating your appetite because the body of these drinks are aperitivos, and well, needless to say, when I was in Italy, these were the drinks we always had, and everyone had. It bears mentioning that even though most of these cocktails are made with aperitivo, they are not all spritzes. So the drinks following are the drinks of Italy, and I thought that we could begin by tracing the lineage of the Negroni in 3 cocktails. It is, after all, the most famous drink Italy has given to the world of cocktails, but it didn't come out of an act of pure creation. It was an evolution, and the first drink in that evolution is the Milano Torino. I'm stoked to get into the cocktails today, but first a word from our sponsor. Trade is a coffee subscription service that pairs you with your perfect coffee, and it's incredibly simple. All you gotta do is go to their website, fill out a short 1-minute questionnaire. They ask you about your flavor preferences, and they pair you up with your favorite coffee. They have over 400 different roasts, and all the coffees are ethically sourced. They pair up with some of the best roasters in the country to bring you some of the best coffee you're ever gonna taste. And another great thing about Trade is that it's fully customizable to your life. It's incredibly flexible. You can cancel anytime you want. You can add a month, you can subtract a month, you can switch up your coffee preferences. And if they don't find something that is 100% perfect for you, they will actually pair you up with a coffee expert and they will help you find your perfect blend. So right now, Trade is offering new subscribers $30 off their first order plus free shipping. All you gotta do is go to drinktrade.com/barfly to get started. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. And if you also tap the link below, you will be able to see our very own curated selection of coffee. That's drinktrade.com/barfly for $30 off. The Milano Torino popped up in the 1860s and is named after the sum of its parts. Campari being from Milan, or Milano in Italian, and then vermouth being from Turin, or Torino in Italian. It is also shortened to the Mi-To, so it's like M-I-T-O. The Mi-To, and it's a very simple drink. So first thing we are going to do here is grab our Campari, and we are gonna put 1 ounce of Campari into our glass with 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. Of course, you should be using Italian sweet vermouth. I like to use the Cocchi Torino. And then we're just going to put in a piece of ice like so, give it a stir. Just gonna give it a little half orange wheel. Just plop that in like so. And there you have the Milano Torino. Tastes like Campari and vermouth. You know, you get the very strong Campari right on the front of your palate. You get the sweetness of the Campari and then also the sweetness of the vermouth. You get a lot of those botanicals and you get that nice kind of warming savoriness that you usually get with sweet vermouth. If you can imagine it, it's a Negroni without the gin. So you don't have those excess botanicals, you don't have the juniper, and then you also haven't like upped the proof a bit. It's a nice, easy cocktail. It's low in ABV, so you can knock a few back. So here it is, guys, the Milano Torino. The next cocktail on our journey toward the Negroni is the Americano. This is another cocktail that popped up in the 1860s at Gaspar Campari's bar in Milan, Italy. And Americano roughly translates to American style. This is basically a Milano Torino that has been lengthened with a little bit of soda water. Why that is American style is a little bit lost on me. I don't know if it's just because the Americans like a little bubbly in their drink or what, but it's a very good cocktail and you're gonna find that out in just a minute. First thing we're gonna do is 1 ounce of Campari into our glass, spill a little on the side, pour 1 out for the homies. And then we're gonna do 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. We're gonna take our soda water here. I'm gonna pour a little in up front, and we're gonna add some ice in. And then we're gonna pour in the rest of our soda water. This time we're gonna pull a nice long orange peel, spritz it over the top, and then we're just gonna snake it into the drink like that. And there you have your Americano. Fantastic. All the benefits of the Milano Torino, but bubbly. There it is, guys, the Americano. So now the next cocktail is a Negroni, and all you gotta do is swap out one ingredient from the Americano. The Negroni was created in 1919 by a count whose name was Emilio Negroni, who went to his local bar in Florence, and he asked his local bartender if he could have an Americano, but to swap the soda for gin, and history was made. So very easy cocktail. We're gonna build this straight in the glass. 1 ounce of your preferred gin, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and 1 ounce of Campari. Add in a big rock of ice, which we're gonna put in very gently so we don't break the glass. Give it a stir. And then we're just going to garnish it with an orange twist here. We're just gonna put the twist on there like that. There you go. Let's give it a taste. Perfection. The most wonderful thing about the Negroni is that it is made up of 3 proprietary elements. You've got the Campari, which is made in its own very specific way. You've got the sweet vermouth, which every producer has its own botanical blends. And then you have the gin, which also has a proprietary blend of citrus elements and botanicals. And again, no 2 gins are alike. So there are seemingly endless variations on the Negroni that you can do. Just swapping out the gin, swapping out your Aperitivo, and swapping out your sweet vermouth. And quite honestly, it is such a forgiving cocktail that you can make even terrible ones. And what's great about this cocktail is that even the worst paired ingredients, when you're making something like this, is worth drinking because it is such a forgiving recipe. It is just so gosh darn good. It is very, very difficult to go wrong. So there it is, the Negroni. So of course, when we're doing Italian cocktails, we're gonna have to get into spritzes. But like I said earlier, I'm not gonna do the Aperol Spritz. We've covered it enough on this channel. But when you go to Italy, there's spritzes all over the place, and there are a lot of different variations on this drink. The cocktail that I'm gonna be doing today comes from a cafe in Rome called the Angelino 1890 Cafe. So the cafe is run by 5 generations of the same family. It is also a spirits store, so you can go in there and buy a bunch of different Amaro. They have a ton of vintage spirits in there as well that you can get for pretty good price. So if you guys are Amaro hunting, you're trying to find a vintage Amaros, it's definitely a place that you're gonna wanna go to. I just blew up my secret spot. Anyway, while I was shopping for Amari there, I asked for a spritz and she gave me her absolute favorite spritz, and it was freaking fantastic. So first thing we're gonna do, 1.5 ounces of Select Aperitivo. So Select is from Venice, and a lot of people say that the original spritz, which comes from Venice, was actually made with Select here. And it is really nice because it is not as sweet as something like Aperol, and it also has a more nuanced flavor profile than something like Campari. It is a little more intensely bitter than Aperol, a little sweeter than Campari. It's got a nice botanical feel to it. It's just nice. To that, we're gonna add 1/2 ounce of Braulio, which is an Alpine Amaro. It is very menthol forward. It has this really nice menthol kick. It is pretty bitter on the finish, has a good amount of sugar in it as well, and you can taste the other elements that are in there like cardamom and myrrh. To this, we're gonna add roughly 3 ounces of our Prosecco, then our ice. We don't wanna forget to lengthen this with a little soda water. And the garnish is just that very recognizable traditional spritz garnish of an orange wheel like so. And there you have the Angelino 1890 Spritz. When I first tasted this, I was just blown away by the combination of Select and Braulio. It's just such an amazing flavor profile. You get all of those really dark Amaro tones and that menthol, but then you have, again, that kind of botanical bitterness of the Select. It is rounded out by the Prosecco, which this Prosecco is actually not super sweet. It's a little bit on the dry side. So it's just like, I got that nice kind of dry effervescence to it. And then of course we're lengthening it with a little bit of soda water. That soda water has sodium in it, which is going to enhance the flavors. This is a fantastic spritz. You guys have to try it. The next cocktail we're doing is called a Hugo, which is another spritz variation that is just insanely popular in Italy. Every second cocktail, if it isn't an Aperol Spritz, is a Hugo. Very simple to make. So first thing we're gonna do is 1/2 ounce of Saint Germain or any elderflower liqueur, really. Put that into the bottom of a wine glass. And we're gonna take a healthy mint sprig, a couple of mint sprigs here. Toss the entire thing in the bottom of a glass, and we're just gonna give it a light press, just enough to release those oils very lightly. We're gonna add about 4 ounces of Prosecco into our glass. So we're gonna add our ice here. About 1 ounce, 1.5 ounces soda water on top. As you can see, I did a bad job of actually mixing this, and you can see that the soda water has layered on top. So just gonna give this a little stir. Just make sure everything combines properly. We'll give it a sip. Cheers. Now, elderflower liqueur, Saint Germain specifically, is just like the great equalizer. You can basically make anything taste good with just a little dribble drabble of elderflower liqueur. And obviously the major flavor profile in this drink is the elderflower liqueur that's juxtaposed against the Prosecco. The Prosecco is light, a little bit sweet and dry. Add a little bit of that sweetness and the elderflowery kind of flavor. I can't really describe it better than that, I guess. Wait, and then you have a bit of that mint oil rounding everything else. It's really nice. It's a little bit light, it's a little bit dry, tiny bit sweet, and a little botanical. It's a perfect pre-dinner drink. So there it is, the Hugo. Now, the last cocktail we're doing today to round out our Italian cocktails video is La Bicicletta, which was apparently named that after the bicycles that old men would ride going to the cafe, and then they'd have a couple drinks and then they would be riding their bicycle a little worse for the wear back home. First thing we're gonna do here is 2 ounces of Campari, 3 ounces of dry white wine, such as Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio. It's 2, 3, add some ice in. And then we're just gonna top her up with a little bit of soda water, garnish with a half an orange wheel. Or we could do a whole one though, but half one, just like that. Just like every single aperitivo cocktail from Italy. Here we go, let's give it a taste. Mmm. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. This is the first time that I've had a Bicicletta, but I gotta say, I'm digging it. Obviously, the intense bitterness of the Campari with that little orange twinge is gonna be the main flavor component in this cocktail, but it actually pairs very well with the wine. And of course, every single one of these cocktails is gonna be slightly proprietary depending on what wine you use. Particular wine is super dry and it just pairs really nicely with that Campari. And then of course you get a little bit of effervescence from the soda water, but not too much. And there you have it, the Bicicletta. I really like this drink. All right, guys, there you have it. 6 Italian cocktails for your nummy nums. And I'll see you guys another time.